Look at that, the turd burglar. The turd burglar. Oh my God. It's the turd burglar. Oh, just finished playing with me shaft there. Oh, so glorious, the shaft. Well, BMW really fucked this one up, didn't they? Oh my fucking God. Now, to be fair, there are a lot of good things about this 1300 GSA, but fuck, they fucked a lot of things up. And here's the thing, right? There are a lot of YouTubers out there saying the same fucking boring things over and over again, just spewing, you know, the BMW Motorrad's propaganda, and people just listen to it. The same shit. So guys, if you want someone who's going to actually tell you how the fuck it is, make sure you subscribe, because I will be riding this thing. I will keep you updated on all the issues. Let's get into it, because there are a lot of great things about this 1300 GSA. And yeah, no shaft action today. Actually, it's so fucking cold that my little fucking shaft has gone to like a cocktail Frankfurt size. Like, it's tiny and I really need a big shaft. Anyway, I am a R1250 GS owner, and I look forward to the 1300 and 1300 GSA. And look, I was a little bit disappointed with the 1300 GS, the normal one of course, and I was really hoping that this 1300 GSA would make all those things up. And I told you, didn't I? I actually told you, once the 1300 GSA comes out, the 1300 GS, the normal version, will make sense. And it does now, right? That's the more sporty sort of, I wouldn't even call it a big touring bike, it's just a sporty sort of naked bike that can do a bit of off-roading. The 1300 GSA looks like a proper piece of kit, fit for purpose. It looks like a big adventure, big tough adventure bike. It's got back its presence. You know, I'll talk about where they fucked up in a minute, but let's talk about the positives first. It looks really good. Does it look as good as the outgoing 1250 GS Adventure? No, it probably doesn't. No, I still think that looks better, but I can tell you now it looks 10 times better than the 1300 GS Rainbow Edition. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I didn't make the rainbow picture, BMW Motorrad did. And yes, it doesn't look as good as the old one, but it's got its presence back. It's a big boy now. Well, at least it looks like a big boy. I think a lot of that stuff is just puff, like a puffer fish. It actually isn't as big as the, you know, the last model, so that's one of my criticisms. We'll get to that later. But yeah, it looks 1,000 times better than the 1300 GS Normal Edition. This really looks good. I don't mind it. It does look utilitarian, tough. It looks like a Neo adventure bike, something that would belong in sort of cyberpunk or something like that. Especially when we talk about the 1300 GS, it looks like they cheaped out with the rear subframe, like that cast subframe, and the new subframe on the 1300 GS Adventure. Wow, that actually looks good. It's a trellis, or what do they call it, a lattice frame, so it actually looks 100 times better than the 1300. Now the 1300 GS is an amazing bike. Like I've said, it is an amazing bike, and actually they've sorted most of the issues out. I don't really hear that much about the issues there. But here's the deal, it's a fucking toy GS, right? Now this one at least is a big boy, like it looks big and tough, and it looks like a proper fit for purpose adventure bike. It looks like the real deal. And with the 1300 GS, it looks like a street bike. It looks forgettable. I mean, it looks okay, but it's just forgettable. When you see the 1300 GSA, you're gonna go, what the fuck is that? Or you're gonna say, wow, man, that looks like a cool big adventure bike. But here's the big problem with the 1300 GSA and how it's fucked up. Why would you buy this over the old one? Tell me. First of all, it's got all the carryover things from the 1300 GS that suck. The switch gear not being illuminated, having to use this hamburger or action button to do things that used to have a special button for it, like heated grips, and yeah, it's just a faff going through the fucking menu. That just fucking sucks, and it's still the same with this one. It's the same motor, so it's not as good as the 1250 GS for like touring, you know, big globe-trotting adventures, what you're supposed to do with a 1300 GS Adventure or a 1250 GS Adventure. It's not as good, that motor. It is great for like dynamic performance. If you want sporty performance, you know, it's a bit more squared, the stroke is shorter, it's a higher compression ratio, it's good for that stuff, sporty stuff. But for touring, no, it's still got the stiff pressed steel frame. And look, my girlfriend and my boyfriend appreciate the stiffer, harder dong, but hey, the stiffer subframe that's on the 1300 and 1300 GS is just less compliant. And you know, if you're going over rough surfaces, long tours, bad roads, off-road, the 1200 GS is just better. It's just more compliant, it's softer, it's just a nicer motor, it's just better for touring, right? Now let's get into the thing they fucked up the most. I was absolutely fucking shocked when I saw the weight. It is 269 kilos, all right? 269 kilos. The outgoing 1250 GS Adventure is 268 kilos. It is heavier. It also has less payload, 1 kilo less payload. Now I know what you're thinking, there's only 1 kilo in it, but think of this. The 1250 GS Adventure has the luggage rack, right? So that's extra weight, you can take that off. The 1250 GS comes with a lead battery. You can actually save around 3 to 4 kilos on the 1250 Adventure just by changing the battery to a lithium battery, which the 1300 GS Adventure has. It is fucking insane. You could save 5-6 kilos off the 1250 Adventure. So in reality, the old 1250 GS is probably 5-6 kilos lighter. And then when you add all the other stuff like the, you know, sports suspension, and you add the radar and stuff like that, it's even going to get heavier, the 1300 GS Adventure. So it actually blows my mind, but a brand new bike is actually heavier than its predecessor, and by a fair bit, like not just 1 kilo. When you actually really work it out, it's probably 5 kilos heavier. And here's the thing, the people say, oh, you can get the 1300 GS, it's a lot lighter. No, it's not. Once you add all the shit on, it's like 260 kilos. So you might as well get the GS Adventure 1300. Why would you get the 1300 when it's only like 10 kilos lighter? Then if you actually look at the design of the 1300 GS Adventure, you'll see that on the crash bars, they have these like wings or gussets on the side. That's because it's so fucking top heavy, right? It will tip over past the pivot point of the boxer motor and tip over to its tank. The 1250 GS Adventure really didn't have those issues, but because this one's shorter, it's smaller. That's the thing too, it's smaller. It's no bigger than the 1300 GS, right? It looks bigger, it's got more stuff on it, a bigger tank, but if you actually look at the dimensions, the wheelbase and stuff, yes, there's a slight difference because of the rake, but it's virtually the same. So there actually is no extra room on the 1300 Adventure. So let's get to the fucking point of this. So I could imagine you'd be getting like 3, 4, maybe up to 5,000 discount on a 1250 Adventure now. Why would you buy the 1300 GSA? It's got a little bit more power, but the motor's not as good for touring. It's heavier, less payload. It's not battle tested like the 1250 Adventure, right? We know the 1250 Adventure can go anywhere. This 1300 GSA, we're going to have to wait and see, right? They're going to have to iron out the bugs. We're going to have to see what the common faults are. We're going to have to see if it actually really is tough enough. But we know the 1250 GSA is tough enough. So in reality, if you get the 1300 GS Adventure, what do you get? You get the radar, adaptive ride height, dual spring rate suspension. What else do you fucking get? You get fuck all. You get a smaller bike, doesn't look as good. It's not proven, it's not tested. So I've got to say, it's a massive fuck up, because why would you buy it over the old one? Other than, I just want a radar, or I'm a little fucking happy hobbit, little small man, and I can't fucking ride a 1250 GSA, I need the adaptive ride height. Come on, I see fucking little girls riding a 1250 Adventure, so no fucking excuses. I'm actually really struggling to find reasons why you would buy the 1300 GSA over the old one. Let me know in the comments. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm going back home to play my 1250 shaft. I need a bit of shaft. Catch you in the next one. Tally ho.